Ready. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Chase Park. I think one of the prettiest areas in all of the town of Chatham. Before we begin our program, I'd like to take a moment to remember those young children and their teachers in Uvalde, Texas. So please bow your heads and think of them. Thank you. Thank you for coming to witness the dedication of the Town of Chatham Revolutionary War Memorial. My name is Dean Nicastro. I'm a member of the Chatham Select Board, and I'm joined here today, happily, by my four colleagues. Chairman, the new chair, Jeff Dykins, Shireen Davis, Corey Metters, and our newest member, Michael Schell. Many people have contributed to this project, which has been 7 years in the making, believe it or not, and who have assisted with today's ceremony. And I'd like to take a moment to offer our appreciation to the following individuals and organizations. First and foremost, the Citizens Working Group of Debbie Aikman, Bill Cullinane, Frank Messina, and Tim Smith. We also were assisted earlier on by Janet Whittemore. And our wonderful town staff, past and present, Katie Donovan, Ali Sabatino, Gary Glazier, Dan Tobin, and our town manager, Jill Goldsmith, who's here as well. The Chatham Select Board, the annual town meeting, the Chatham Historical Commission, the Community Preservation Committee, the Parks and Recreation Commission, the Finance Committee, Chatham Historical Society, and the Eldridge Public Library. And I want to recognize the collaboration of Rob Franz, the chair of the Public Ceremonies Committee. That's why it takes 7 years to get something done in this town. We love process. And to those participating in today's ceremony, our Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, Monomoy Regional High School students Angelica Velasquez and Simon McBride, and our Piper Sarah Marchio. Also, Tom Vloot of Henry T. Crosby & Son, John D. Martin Excavating, Raul Frausto Engraving, and a very special thank you to Tim Smith of Minglewood Homes, who helped select and place and actually donated the stone we see before us. Now let's begin by asking our Scout contingent to lead us all in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and I think the nearest flag is in that direction. Right there. Sorry. Always look behind you. Scouts, take it away.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, it wouldn't be a dedication without an invocation. And on this plaque, which contains the names of those families in Chatham who supported the cause in our revolution, is the name of Lieutenant Richard Sears. And Lieutenant Sears and our minister for today have a common ancestor. Richard Sears' nephew built Christ Church Longwood in Brookline, Massachusetts, which is the Sears family chapel. I'm very pleased to introduce the Reverend Douglas Warren Sears, who has been minister in that church since 1987. He happens to be a college classmate of mine, so that's why he's here today. Thanks.
Thank you, Dean, and thank everybody for coming out on this wonderful day. And clearly, the higher powers have cooperated with this event and are blessing us. So, dear Lord, we thank you for this wonderful day. We thank you for the gift of memory, so that we who stand here now can call back into life those who stood here before us, whose voices are now hushed. The word for this memorial service is remember. I've asked you to hold on to that word, and I'll try to make some sense of this as we move through these brief remarks and invocation and prayer. So remember, remember, because the power to remember is everything. And we know we are really losing it when we can't remember. When we can't remember a face, or we can't remember a name, or we can't remember a date. But when we can remember, we are given remarkable power because we're able to call back into life that which we remember. And when your parents say, "I don't remember you," you seem sadly cut off, sadly missing. And when somebody you haven't seen in many years says, "I remember you," you feel born again. So at this park on this morning of Memorial Day, we are invited to remember. And we call the past back to life, that we are something bigger than we are that continues. We are not alone. We are not on our own. We are, in the words of the book of Hebrews, surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses whom we cannot see, but who can see us. And together, both of us are visible before God. So today, on this day of remembrance, we pause to remember those everyday folks who lived, loved, and died in Chatham nearly 250 years ago. And like us, they raised their families, worked hard to make a living in a land that did not easily give up its bounty, and persevered, buoyed by a shared belief that by their hard work they would build a better life for their children and grandchildren. And in this brief service of remembrance, we set a stone that brings back to the living the names of those whose efforts set Chatham on the road to preserve those freedoms that many here may take for granted. I hope not. Their names bring to mind the families whose sons volunteered to serve and whose mothers, wives, and children sustained the homes and community for which they fought. So we thank you, O Lord, for this opportunity to gather here on this beautiful day to honor the memories of those whose names are inscribed on this monumental stone, so that when we, like they, are shades, the light of freedom for which they fought will continue onward for generations to come. May we remember this day. So now for a special recognition, we're honored to be joined by the commander of Chatham's contingent in service of our revolution, and the man who led the Chatham forces at Bunker Hill, Colonel Benjamin Godfrey, who will say a few words.
Thank you. And before I begin, I'd like to thank all the young people that joined us today. You were wonderful. Thank you, you led us. And thank you for playing. And thank you for playing. Thank you very, very, very much. Yes, I'm Colonel Benjamin Godfrey. My voice is going. I married Sarah Mayo, a local woman. I served with many of these men as part of the Barnstable Militia. For a town of about 1,000, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of families. Against the most powerful nation in the world. And although we served, others served too. Who made our uniforms? The women. Who melted the lead for the shot? The women. Who ran the farms when we left? The women. Who fished? The women. This was a family effort. These were the people that sacrificed so much so that we might have what we have today. 250,000 men served in this endeavor. 7,000 were killed in action. But get this, 50,000 died of disease, something you know nothing about today. Well, the Brits weren't satisfied with just the war in Boston, Virginia and stuff. They came into Chatham Harbor. They came into Chatham Harbor and they tried to steal a boat. Well, Joe Doan, Richard Sears and I got in a boat, went out and took down the Union Jack and chased them off, along with townspeople who stood along the shore firing at the British privateer and chased them out. You still have that same kind of feeling in Chatham. You still have it. There were voices that drove us each day in the Revolution. Among them, Thomas Paine, my favorite. I paraphrased Paine this way. These are the times that try family souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But those that stand by it now deserve the love and thanks of all. And then our beloved Commander-in-Chief, General George Washington, had a farewell to the troops. And I just want to read 2 or 3 lines from that farewell. May ample justice be done to them here. May the choices of heaven's favor, both here and hereafter, attend those who under the divine auspices have secured innumerable blessings. With these wishes and this benediction, the Commander-in-Chief is about to retire from service. The curtain of separation will soon be drawn, and the military scene for him will be closed forever. Now, as you pass by this monument each day, pause to remember these families that fought and worked to make this a republic. It's up to you to keep it. Thank you.
Just before we conclude, I want to also acknowledge Joellen Messina, who put together our program for this morning. So to bring us to a close, I want to once again call upon the Reverend Sears to give us a message.
May you go in peace. May you have safe passage. May our lives continue to bear witness to the love of free men and women that leads to a better world. In our own lives, may each of us so live that we, like those whose names we honor here today, can be remembered as having left this world a little better place for our having walked its pathways for a while. Go in peace. Amen.
Amen.
Invited to the mill for cornbread and cider.